It's shaping up to be a bloody summer in two of America's biggest cities, with Chicago seeing a stunning 82 shootings in just 84 hours over the July 4th weekend, and New York City ending the month of June with an uptick in gun violence as well. NYPD crime statistics show shootings citywide up 9.5% so far in 2014, a figure some attribute to the curtailment of the department's controversial stop and frisk program. We're back with Matt Kaminsky, Dorothy Rabinowitz, and Kim Strassel. So, Dorothy, what's behind this upsurge in violence? Let's take New York first.
Let's take New York. Let's take the fact that nobody's really afraid to carry a gun anymore now, because the overwhelming sense is that police are afraid to pat you down, to come up to you, and to check you out.
That's what they could do under stop and frisk.
That's exactly
say,
right.
Do you have a weapon? And if they look suspicious, they could frisk them and confiscate the weapon.
Yes. This is an inhibiting factor now in police. Police feel this factor. I will be sued. I will be threatened with being sued. I mean, it's an entirely human response to all of this. And all of this is the result of an endless campaign against stop and frisk as the most incredible violation of human rights ever. Look, 6% of this city is public housing. 26% of all of the crime, the violent crime in the city, takes place in those housing
developments. And it is precisely in those most violent neighborhoods where stop and frisk was most effective, and where the residents actually support stop and frisk, Matt, as opposed to some of the elite neighborhoods where there's less crime and they can indulge their civil libertarian instincts.
Absolutely. I think you've seen that people really did appreciate the police being very engaged and watching their neighborhoods like hawks. You know, overall, this is not this uptick in crime has not touched the better parts of, I mean, this are wealthier and safer parts of New York. It's been very concentrated, the shooting violence, in parts of Brooklyn, up in the Bronx, in mostly minority projects where kids are carrying illegal guns. You might mention this is not a problem of gun control laws.
No, New York has some of the most strict gun control laws in the country, right?
As does Chicago, and I think there's really Bill Bratton, who's come back as police commissioner here, was credited with the miracle in New York in the 1990s of decreasing homicides by 80%. Mayor De Blasio, Bill De Blasio, a hero to the left, has brought him back, and Bratton's always denied that stop and frisk had any effect, was related to the uptick, but now he says we have to study the problem. There may be something there.
Very interesting. All right, Kim, let's take Chicago. It's had periodic bursts of murder sprees over the past couple of years. What accounts for the latest one?
So it's similar to New York, but with a twist. Stop and frisk hasn't been as much of an issue there, but what you are seeing in Chicago is this crime spiking again in very specific neighborhoods in Chicago, which happen to have a lot of poverty, a lot of people unemployed, not the best neighborhoods. And in that case, there's been a lot of discussion in Chicago. There's been some cuts to police budgets, for instance, and there seems to be a problem with inadequate police forces in some of these neighborhoods, and that's been a big discussion. But again, you guys touched on something really important. You've got a lot of people out there who are trying to suggest that both in New York and Chicago that this is a failure of gun laws. Both of those cities are in fact examples of cities where the gun laws are so strict the only people who have guns are the bad guys. So it's not that.
So what about, Kim, how is gun control and this gun violence going to play at all in the upcoming elections? You have former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg come out and say that he's going to spend millions against politicians who oppose gun control in the coming elections.
He's going to need millions. It's a good thing he has a lot of money because you have not seen the dial move on this issue among the American public at all, even after shootings, for instance, in Newtown, where those children were killed. I mean, the Bloomberg group now has this idea they're going to make all sitting incumbent politicians and those who are running fill out a big survey to explain how they feel. And the view seems to be that this is going to pigeonhole some people to then change their votes on gun control because they'll be embarrassed of their position. What's fascinating, though, Paul, is the people that are going to feel most awkward doing this are, in fact, a lot of Democrats, because they hail from states where gun rights are, in fact, very popular among their constituents, and they've been the ones that have been most eager to avoid some of these votes in Congress that have been pushed by gun control advocates.
All right, Kim, we'll watch this. We have to take one more break.